Hi everyone and welcome to LSBF TV. This is Level 3 Advanced Bookkeeping and we are going to be going through an assessment giving you the confidence that you need to go away and try such questions yourself. Our aim is to give you the tasks, the knowledge, the skills that you need in order to be successful in the AAT assessments, and it gives you a point at which you can decide that here are my strengths and here are my weaknesses and we can improve on that. Okay, so task number 1, this is based on non-current assets. So allow me just to zoom in, so that gives you a little bit more leeway so you can see exactly what I'm reading. There we go. Okay, so it says this task is about non-current assets and you are working on the accounting records of a business known as AVBK Trading. I think I'll zoom in a little bit just in case you can't see it, so let me just zoom in. There we go. There we go. And the question is asking you to ignore VAT in this task. The following is an extract from a purchase invoice received by AVBK Trading relating to new equipment for its commercial kitchen. Okay, so we have a purchase invoice, we've got the relevant items, and this is to AVBK ourselves. We've got the invoice number 965270, we've got the dates, okay, and we've got the items. We've got the electric combi steam oven, the color touch control display, well, they're very fancy, the floor stand, electric portable pasta boiler, and we've got the net total. It says at the very bottom here, the acquisition has been made under a finance lease arrangement. Now, students will be tested on the build-up of a non-current assets register, and it's very important that we understand why such registers are kept by entities. The examiner's report did mention that students struggled with the filling in of the actual dates, the names of the items, but also very importantly that weaker students made sure that they did not attempt any of the depreciation calculations. Okay, so this task is designed to give you the confidence that you need to attempt to calculate the different types of depreciation charges. On the next page, we've got the following information relates to the sale of some computer equipment no longer used by the business. So we've got the item description, we've got desktop DTC3, we've got the date of sale, which is the 31st of December 16, and we've got the selling price, which is £180. The £180 is known as the sales proceeds. Okay, so AVBK Trading has a policy of capitalising expenditure over £500. If you capitalise something, it means you are recognising that as an asset on the statements of financial position. So anything that you spend over £500 on collectively, that is a capital expense. But anything that you spend less than £500 on, that will be classed as a revenue expense. Kitchen equipment is depreciated at 20% per year on diminishing balance basis, and this is also known as the reducing balance basis. Computer equipment is depreciated over 4 years on a straight line basis, assuming no residual value. A residual value is also known as a scrap value, and it's representing the amount that you can sell the asset for once you're done with it. Depreciation is calculated on an annual basis and charged on equal installments for each month on an asset is owned in the year. Okay, so I'm struggling to read it. No worries. Part A of the question is asking, for the year ended 31st of March 17, record the following in the extract from the non-current assets register below. Okay, so we have 18 marks up for grabs here, and 18 marks is a lot of marks, and I can show the examiner that I am able to fill this register, especially calculate the amounts for depreciation expenses for each type of asset we've got in this question. The examiner has also given us further information. It says, note, not every cell will require an entry, and show your numerical answers to 2 decimal places. So these are clear instructions. Show your answer to 2 decimal places and use the date, month, year formats for any date. And you successfully building this non-current assets register will allow us to gain at least, let's say 16 out of 18, which gives us room that some mistakes can occur. All right, so part A, let's move on here. In the empty description or serial number box, fill in with either the desktop, the freezer, electric oven, the pasta boiler. So these are the 4 types of assets that we're dealing with in this particular question. And in the corresponding empty funding method box, please fill in either cash, finance lease, or hire purchase. In your accounting studies, you should be identifying the types of way that a company can buy an asset. If you buy the asset for outright, then you're paying the asset for cash. If you hire the asset under a hire purchase, then this is also known as an operating lease. But if you're buying the asset under a finance lease, this gives you a little bit more rewards in relation to you using the asset, and it also gives you control over the asset. If you do have an asset purchased under a finance lease, you must recognise it in the non-current assets register. If you're finding difficulty understanding the difference between the 3, please refer to your accounting studies, or here at LSBF, we create videos where discussing the types of methods of payment, the types of purchases that we can make for assets, and plus we're giving examples that could be examinable in the AAT assessments. It's a wonderful way to boost your knowledge, to give you the confidence you need so you can be successful on the real day. Okay, so we've got extracts, I'm going to zoom back out again, there we go. Extract from non-current asset register. Okay, so we've got the description of the serial numbers, we've got the acquisition date, the relevant cost, depreciation charges, carrying amount, funding method, disposal proceeds, and the disposal date. Okay, so the first description here we've got are the kitchen equipments. And we've got the first one, which is the double door freezer, DDF4. Now the double door freezer was not an item in the list given on the previous page, okay? So the previous page gives us items for the desktop, the freezer, the electric oven, and the pasta boiler. So the examiner here doesn't really want us to fill in anything. The only thing that we have to do is the depreciation charges for the year ended 31st of March 17. For the kitchen equipment, the examiner has provided us with strict instructions on how to depreciate the asset. So if we go back to the notes, there we go, kitchen equipment. Let me just highlight that for you. Kitchen equipment is depreciated at 20% per year on diminishing balance basis. This is also known as the reducing balance method. The reducing balance method is where you're depreciating the asset based on the net book value or the carrying amount of the asset at each year start. Now, we've got straight line depreciation, we've got reducing balance depreciation. These types are regularly tested throughout the level 3 assessments. It's very important that you practice as many questions as possible to give you the boost. And if you get the question wrong, it will allow you to be alert and ask the tutor for any help necessary. Us tutors here at LSBF are trained to ensure that students can answer a large variety of questions that cover the entire syllabus. Now, we also have created similar assessment tasks that you need to practice the real thing. As well as our practice assessments, you can attempt the AAT assessments that can be found on the AAT website. if you click on Study Support Search and you choose Level 3 and we've got Advanced Bookkeeping, it's essential that you try the 2 assessment tasks. Now this one is from the first assessment task, so I'm trying to give you the answers that you need to go and independently attempt the question yourself. Okay, so kitchen equipment is depreciated at 20% per year on diminishing balance basis. Okay, with the diminishing balance basis, you take the carrying amount of the asset at the year start. So if you're looking at the non-current assets register, at the year start, the carrying amount is 1276.80. So I'll do my calculations here. 1276.80, that is the net book value at the year start. And then you multiply it by the depreciation rate. The depreciation rate is 20%. Okay? So if you grab your calculators and attempt this calculation here, 1276.80 times 20%. This gives me 255.36. 255.36. There we go. Whoopsie. Right, so I think the pound sign is missing. All right, I'll just ignore it then. 255.36. That is the depreciation charge for the period. So maybe I want to label this depreciation charge. Such calculations you won't need to do in the real exam. The examiner just wants to see your final answer that you will enter in the non-current assets register. The 255.36, I'm going to be placing that in this box here, 255.36. Okay, so that will be the depreciation charge for the period, and the carrying amount is going to be the net book value at the year start minus the depreciation expense for that period. We want to know the value of the asset at the year end. So 1276.80 minus 255.36, that will give us 1012144. 102144. So 1021.44. Okay. The examiner has clearly stated that we need to show the answers to 2 decimal places. So please make sure you read the figures from your calculator very carefully and then you copy and paste it very carefully. So that is me depreciating the double door freezer, DDF4. Now, the next item that we have is a blank item. And the examiner did say that in the description/serial number, you need to enter one of these 4 items. Either the desktop, the freezer, the electric oven, or the pasta boiler. Now we must capitalize anything that we've spent over £500. If I go to the original purchase order here, or the purchase invoice, I can see that for CS031, which is relating to the electric oven, all of these amounts can be added up. So 5565 plus 999 plus 224, this gives me 6788. The 6788 will be the amount that you capitalize. Now the pasta boiler, you would have noticed, only costs £245. And the question clearly stated that anything that you spend over £500 on can be capitalized. So this pasta boiler, which is under £500, cannot be capitalized. So in the description/serial number box here, there we go, I need to enter the electric oven. The electric oven, CS031. CS031. Let me just double check that, and this is what you should do as well. CS031, the electric oven. Okay? Now you've bought this in this accounting period. What is the date that you'll fill in here? The date that you've bought your electric oven came to the 1st of April 16. And the 1st of April 16 is the date that we enter in the non-current assets register. So we do date, date, month, month, year, year. So the 1st of April 16. Or you can use forward slashes, and I think I would use forward slash because that's clearly stated by the examiner. 1st of April 16, which is the first day of the accounting period. So the cost of the asset is 6788, yeah, that was all of the assets relating to the electric oven, 6788. And in the funding method, the question said I need to include either I've bought the asset via cash, finance lease or hire purchase. We are told that this asset was purchased by a finance lease. So I will enter here the funding method, finance lease. Okay, right. And then because we bought the asset at the year start, I need to depreciate it for 1 year. And the depreciation is going to be based on the information given to us in the question. It says the kitchen equipment is depreciated at 20% per year on diminishing balance basis. So the depreciation charge is going to be the amount that we have spent, 6788 times by 20%. Okay, if I times that by 20%, I am getting a depreciation charge of £1357.60. Okay, so £1357.60. So that will be the depreciation charge for the electric oven. 1357.60. So let me type that in there. £1357.60. So at the year end, we're going to have a carrying amount. The carrying amount is going to be the value at the year start, take away the depreciation charge for the period. So 6788, take away the depreciation charge. This gives me £5430.40. So 5430.40. Okay. So that is us dealing with item number 2, the electric oven. Okay. The final bit that I've got here is the computer equipment. And the computer equipment was purchased on the 1st of October 14, which was part way through that particular accounting period. But we need to find out what is the value of the depreciation expense for the year ended 31st of March 17. The examiner has provided us with strict instructions on how to depreciate computer equipment. If I go back to you, there we go. Computer equipment is depreciated over 4 years on a straight line basis, assuming no residual value. Straight line depreciation is relating to the cost of an asset. And there are 2 ways in which we can calculate straight line depreciation charges. We take the cost of the asset minus any residual values, and then we divide it by the useful life of the asset. Now the cost of the asset will be provided to you by the examiner, and so will the residual value. If there is no residual value, then you'll assume that it's nil. Then you divide it by the useful life of the asset. The useful life is going to be the number of years in which you expect to use the asset for. And if no useful lives or residual values are provided to you, then what you would do is use a depreciation rate. The depreciation rate is going to be expressed in percentages. It could be anything, so always read the question very carefully. The examiner's report stated that a lot of students found it difficult to account for the residual value, which means that they could be having issues entering figures in their calculators. Your scientific calculator is designed to get the answer as quickly as possible, but make sure that you buy your calculator well in advance of your real exam and practice applying numbers into the calculator. If you work on a new calculator on the day of your exam, you could be unfamiliar with the settings and the calculations could go awry, and then you'll be upset with yourself. So why not ask your tutor the best way to work through your calculator? And calculators like this will give you an excellent way using those functions for percentages, fractions, minus, takeaway, so many things that you could do. So with a residual value, you need to net it off from the cost first, and the depreciable amount is then divided by the useful life. Okay, so coming back to the computer equipment, we are depreciating it over 4 years on a straight line basis. So the depreciation charge is going to be the cost of the asset. Now I forgot what the cost was, so I'll have to remind myself. There we go. The cost of the asset is 1380, and the useful life was 4 years. So 1380 divided by 4 years. If I type that on the calculator, that's going to give me £345. That will be the depreciation charge for the particular year in relation to the computer equipment. So if I then type that in my non-current assets register, let me go, this is 345.00. Do not forget to put in the 2 decimal places. Now what I can do is check if the carrying amount does add up to 51750. So to check that, to get the net book value at the year end, you begin by taking the net book value at the year start minus the depreciation charge for that year. So 862.50, take away 517.50, or if you want to take away 345, that gives us £517.50. And there you have it, guys. That is us filling in the non-current assets register, dealing with additions and depreciation charges. In the next session that we're going to do next week, we're going to be dealing with the disposal of assets. The non-current asset register is so important for examining students on the difference between capital and revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure relates to your buying, the purchase, or enhancing a non-current asset. But revenue expenditure are things that you spend on to maintain, repair, or decorate a non-current asset. But the examiner or the entity will specify at how much money we need to spend in order to decide if this then is capital or revenue expense. Now, a lot of students do answer such questions very carefully and they exceed the minimum requirements. And according to the examiner's report, the strengths relate to depreciation charges, correctly calculating the carrying amount, and then making sure that we fill in the appropriate cells. But for the weaker students, it's quite difficult for them to apply the correct policy and identify if an asset has been disposed of to do the final depreciation charges for that period. And if you've got any residual values, you need to make sure you take the cost of the asset and then minus it from the depreciable amount. Also, you will have items relating to the disposal date and the disposal proceeds. The disposal proceeds represents the amount that you sold an asset for, and the disposal date is a date at which you sold the asset. Now, the next time we see each other, we're going to be dealing with disposals. If you remember, we talked about this computer equipment that is no longer used by the business, and then it was sold on the 31st of December, and we've sold it for £180. So why not go on to the AAT website, click on Assessment 1 for Level 3 Advanced Bookkeeping, and see if you can fill the disposal proceeds and the disposal date for the computer equipment. To summarise what we have learnt, we have made sure that we've shown the examiner our knowledge of depreciation calculations, but also to be able to identify the amount to be capitalised or the amount to be expensed. Also, another thing that we've learnt is the dates, the decimal points, making sure we select answers very carefully from the drop-down list. In order to get as many marks as possible, we need to answer the question. If you don't answer the question, then the examiner will not be confident and give you the pass that you need. Also remember that calculations are very important as well. The calculations you should do on your scrap pieces of paper. Only the final answer the examiner will see and award you with marks on. Why not go through your AAT books and study papers and understand the purpose of the non-current asset register and making sure who gives us the authority to capitalise such expenses. I thank you very much for joining me, and all the tutors here at LSBF wish you the best with your studies. Take care, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you next week where we'll do more assessment tasks for Level 3 Advanced Bookkeeping. Take care.